Apple turns 50, and whether you admire it or question it, you're living in the world it helped build. Tonight on The Rundown, we're digging into how Apple Inc. didn't just make iconic products like the Macintosh and iPhone, but fundamentally reshaped how technology feels, how it's controlled, and how it fits into everyday life. This isn't nostalgia, it's a deeper look at how Apple turned ideas into global defaults, transformed industries into ecosystems, and quietly became one of the most powerful forces shaping digital life. The real question isn't what Apple built, it's what kind of world it created and what that means for the next 50 years. Welcome to The Rundown. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I am coming to you live on my Macintosh with my iPhone in front of me and my Apple gear around me so that we can celebrate a little early, about a week early, Apple's 50th anniversary. And I'm so excited to be able to celebrate this with some of my dear friends. Hello, Tamra.
Hello, hello.
How's it going?
I'm so excited. I'm good. I'm excited to talk about
You just got back in town. Where were you traveling? Where were you?
I was actually house sitting with my mom in Redlands. So it was about an hour and a half from where I live. So I was like, I have to leave because I have to be back.
Lovely. Great. Bye, Mom. More important.
I did. I ditched my mom, but I sent my brother there. So like all is good. And she has her Mac Neo to keep her company. So.
Ah, very nice. Mr. Tony Mobley. How you doing, sir?
Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Hey, how was the show last night? It was all about AI, yeah?
Yeah, we had a disruption last night on AI and websites. There was something that was revealed last night on Conversation with Tony Mobley that has never been talked about before. Ken Jordan is doing something absolutely amazing, and there will be more labs coming on what this disruption really means.
Wow. All right, now I need to go back and listen. That's fantastic. Thank you so much. Hello, Miss Lois Richter. We're so happy you're back.
Well, I'm so glad to be here, and good evening, good day, good
everything.
I would say it's a good day and it's sunny, but it's not sunny anymore. It's just very, very, very windy.
You're inside though, so it's okay.
I'm inside. I'm watching my hummingbirds being blown around.
There you go. Hello, Mr. Troutman. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm just checking my makeup here, on my hand mirror.
Dave has all the toys.
I think I'm ready for the show.
Dave has all the toys.
I thought of this as a hand mirror when I first came, when they first came out, because it reflects us to ourselves.
I think I think between friends, the iPad Mini is one of the best things they made, and no one appreciates it enough.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't update it enough. Yeah. Tim McCullough is telling me, using words about me that I don't understand. My NR processing is aggressive, and my sound is very...
noise reduction? Yeah.
Oh, noise reduction. It's very aggressive.
Sound compressed.
Yeah, so you know what's interesting?
It's gating rather than compressing.
So Tim, see, we can, by the way, we can do this. We can interrupt our whole show and do this because this is part of the office hours where we want to learn these things. Yeah. So I'll tell you what, Tim, right before we went live, I changed my audio settings in Zoom. I changed it from, in noise removal, I changed it from automatic or auto to medium. So I'm going to change it back to auto, and I usually keep it on low, but in here I've got the air conditioning going. So I usually
because your fan was aggressive.
Yeah.
He might find that he doesn't like aggressive fans.
Well, I know. So you'll let me know. So Tim, you let me know if it sounds any better.
We'll see how it goes.
And while he's examining my sound and my audio, let's jump into the news. What do you say? We have some. All right, we've got some serious stories, folks. We have three because I couldn't decide. The biggest story this week, which is, I don't know that we fully understand how profoundly important this story could be, is that Meta and YouTube were both found liable in a case that I think we talked about a while back, but a case that was brought against them. They were found liable for negligence in how they designed and operated their platforms, and that negligence led to damages. Now, this is, I think, a $3 million
By a jury.
by a
This
jury.
isn't just a judge.
Right.
This is a jury.
Right.
A real trial. Yeah.
And I believe the award for this one family was $3 million. And lots of people have talked about,
Per
well,
person.
that's nothing. But there are thousands of other court cases behind them. So just the responsibility was split. Meta had 70%, YouTube had 30%. This is a bellwether case. I mean, this is, again, they're going to argue it, and it's not anywhere near done. But what do you make of this? These social networks have always hidden behind, I don't mean that. They've used the we are a platform, not a publisher, as their argument that we're not responsible. But this case isn't about what was on the
about
platform.
the content.
It's
About
it's
how
about
it's
how the
organized.
platform was
Yeah.
designed, which is just stunning.
Totally
to me.
different. They're questioning the value of the medium itself, not necessarily its content. And that's what law can do. Law can do the road, but not the car, that sort of thing.
And the other thing that I heard quite a bit of, Dave, was that this is a moment for us, like tobacco is bad for you. That moment,
Right.
Oh, Brown versus Boston.
right?
School
The
Board.
moment
Yeah,
when we
right.
decided that
Serious
we
change.
had to wear seatbelts, like
This is societal change, right?
right.
Here, yes.
This is a moment where we're discovering, for the first time, for some reason, that this has not been good for us. And today I was listening to a news report about it, and someone said, this is going to fundamentally change social media. And what does that look like? I
It
don't
changes
know.
traditional media though too, because Netflix does exactly the same thing. They have a 14-second clock that is designed to make you click, go to the next one. That is fundamentally continues you on a loop of things. So I think that this is a much bigger, when you're in a series on a streaming service, you get to the end of an episode and the other one plays right away.
Right.
And that is designed on purpose. So I think it can really open up to be much bigger than just social media. And the difference between YouTube and Meta is very, very different. And YouTube said, we are very different than this. And they tried to separate themselves out, which in a lot of ways they are very different. But all of those algorithms that are feeding us things come into question, right? Because they're all designed to keep us there. And if
They're
that's
eating
going to
up
be
our
the
time, yeah.
and if that's going to be the fundamental defining factor, then that could really put a damper on a lot of things.
Yeah, these aren't neutral tools, as they've argued they are. They're
Never have been.
engineered behavioral products, and
Absolutely.
and they now have liability. Vic is saying, even though a precedent has been set that the appeals should prove interesting, yeah, they're going to drag this out, and of course they have the money to drag this out. What's
While they drag
interest-
it out, the class action forms. And then more cases start hitting the streets, and this thing here will get, the next case will use this transcript to work with.
Yes.
Right.
The next one after that will use that discovery, and it piles up against them over time. They can win this one back, but they can't win it back. They can make it go away or shrink
Right.
it down like Apple
the
usually
damage
does
is done.
to
Yeah.
make it less damaging to their company, but you can't stop the decision. The decision's been made.
Can someone explain in very simple terms
Mhm.
what they were accused of doing? What the courts found that they did?
So
Go ahead, Dave.
they intentionally created addictive features. They failed to warn users of risks, and they caused measurable mental harm to the
To
plaintiff.
an individual, yeah.
Okay.
My
Okay,
question
yeah.
is, does this become like the coffee case at McDonald's, where all they do now is put on the cup, coffee's hot?
Mhm. No, you can't, because then
Yeah.
they'd have to expose what the algorithm does, and they don't want to do that.
Right.
Because these are standard psychological principles to get people. Fraudsters use them all the time. People that phone callers that are trying to get your money, you're not paying your bill. They have those techniques and they try to use them. It's not a threat-based thing. It's an enticement. It's a thing. You could win this contest if you just enter. Leave your business card here. You could win a contest. And we succumb to those things all the time, little by little. Some people buy lottery tickets. It's all part of that same appeal of having something at the end. Netflix didn't have a problem when they used to mail out CDs to everybody. The DVDs went out and they didn't know whether you watched it or not, but you sent
Right.
it back and you must have watched it, but maybe you didn't have time. And in this case, they can track you minute by minute. And they also
Yep.
know that you like this more than that, A, B,
Mhm.
and C. And now they can write a script that includes A, B, and C to make Dave
Yep.
happy. And it'll be a point where Dave will get movies that you didn't see because they were only made for guys like me.
Have you noticed, I have noticed recently, that when I'm looking at one of these scrolls, continuous things, and you get done with this one and you move and then there's the next one. Now, instead of it just being a scroll, on the side, there's a back and a forward button. So if I'm not interested in this, I click on the forward button and it just goes there. I don't have to worry about getting it right or anything. Do you think that was added for any particular, I mean, obviously it was added for a reason. I'm trying to figure out what the reason might have been.
So
I think it allows the algorithm to learn you more. I think that every click and every second that you are on any of these sites, and it has decimated the industry as we know it, because we used to, like in terms of creating scripts, you used to think about shows. I wonder what the audience is going to like 5 years from now. And that was a kind of a neutral thing because the networks didn't have any more information than the producers or the writers. Like everybody had kind of the same amount of information. It was external to the broadcasters. We all got it at the exact same time on Thursdays. And so we were able to kind of play that to our advantage. Right now, there's no advantage outside of the person who, outside of the streaming thing, because all they have to do is look in their own logs on their computers, and they don't have to share it with us, and they don't have to do anything. So it's fundamentally changed how we're able to sell, buy, and produce media content right now.
I think that's all we can say about that.
Well,
Yeah.
what I'm debating in my head is, does it matter? Here's what I'm thinking. These companies have an obligation to make money for their shareholders. Does it matter if they made these choices for the sake of making money and not for the sake of...
No, you can't make things that harm people. That's
No,
simple.
I understand that that's negligence. I guess I'm not asking
No,
legally.
it's actually constructed and they didn't
Right.
realize it was harmful. So it's a lot like, chemical companies that thought they were making a great dye to put in red things and discovered later it's cancerous. So they had to take it out. So these things can be changed because people can't claim ignorance. They have to claim that they tested these things and they found them to be harmful and then they didn't do anything about it.
This
Now they're
particular,
forced
this
do it.
particular case too was about kids. It was a woman
Right.
who said that she was addicted as a child and then now she's addicted as an adult. So I think that the first thing that they're going to do is really, it does open up an opportunity for everybody to have the conversation and to really look at what is good for kids and what is not good for kids. So I think that's where it's going to start. And then the question is, will it continue to we still sell cigarettes. We just don't sell them with cartoons that are appealing to children. So,
Yeah.
so is it going to really affect the masses right away? Are they going to say, you know what, we're going to be better about figuring out who kids are, and we're going to address that issue, which we can all kind of agree on, and then adults are adults and they can do whatever they want to do. That's their choice.
You've heard me say before that we let them do this to us. So,
Right.
we're adults. We chose this. Yeah.
Dave, that's, I think, the piece that I'm struggling with a little bit, because it may be true that social media is addictive. I think it is. But not everyone is addicted to it. Some people, for reasons that have nothing to do with social media, have addictive personalities. I'm one of them.
It's amplified by the medium.
So it's
an-
but it's not
Every
Meta's fault
addiction
that
has
I
its root
have
in
an
something that's
addictive
missing.
personality. It's not Meta's fault that I have an addictive personality and that my business partner doesn't. So I sit there scrolling on TikTok and he doesn't. That's not Meta's fault that's my personality.
But you're different.
Are they
Yes.
capitalizing on that? Sure. But I
You're
don't
a
know.
full-fledged adult. So I think that it's going to be like alcohol sales or tobacco sales, where they will fix the problem to try to address children's addiction. And which we should. We should absolutely do that because they don't have a full frontal lobe.
protection.
They
Yeah.
cannot decide that on their own. Some of us as parents and as teachers can't decide that for them. So that needs to happen. That needs to happen legally. We all have to be
Yep.
involved in that. We should all be talking about it all the time. So that's the part that they'll fix. The rest of it, they are going to come back and be like, you know what? You're an adult. You figure it out. There's lots of things in the world that are addictive. They still sell them to adults. Adults can choose to partake or not partake. And you're right. Not every, because I struggle with that too. I'm like, well, but there is a personal choice for people. And there's also this other thing, but I
Yeah.
don't think it's any different than a restaurant who puts together an appetizing menu to get you to come in and buy it, right? In terms of how they're making money
That-
as a corporation.
That's kind of where it's kind of
Yeah.
where I'm
Still
the
providing
real-
a service. Yeah.
Right.
The real question regarding what David was talking about is if there is no option. In other words, if my choice is I have to scroll or I can't get any information versus I can go and ask a question and get information and I can avoid that whole scrolling addiction thing. So that where our choices are getting limited further and further, then that is problematic. I don't think we'll solve it. I don't think there's any way to solve it, but anyway,
Yeah.
can we talk
Tommy is-
about Bernie now?
Tommy Chance from St. Paul is asking us, is that why Meta dropped 8% today? Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Absolutely.
I have no doubt about that. Hey, did any of you happen to see this video?
Oh, it's
I did.
hysterical.
It's so good.
This was fantastic. This made me so happy. This is not political. You don't have to you can hate Bernie
Yeah.
Sanders. I
No,
don't
it's
care.
silly. It's fun. Yeah.
But an old senator having a real-time conversation with AI and a really thoughtful conversation where he actually convinces AI of a couple things, AI challenges him. I just thought this was, and by the way, what they're discussing is AI. They're discussing big data and privacy and all that.
And
I thought this was a
yeah.
brilliant, brilliant video for them to put out.
I guess my only quibble is there's somebody making pounding noises in the neighborhood or around him, and they didn't.
Oh, is
do
there
anything
really?
about
I
that.
didn't notice that.
Yeah, there's banging going on through the whole thing. Well, the second half anyway.
And
That
they
feels
put the
so
phone.
on brand,
They put the
though.
phone at eye height, as if there's something for him
Yeah.
to look at.
But, well, yeah,
Other than
that's
the
what I would
text
do with a
streaming
person
across.
his age too. He doesn't know where to look, so put it right in front of him. Yeah.
I really thought this was so well done, and
Oh, it's a great piece.
it gave me a little bit of hope that some of our politicians are willing to engage with
Yep.
the technology at least. I'm not naive. This was I think in many ways a stunt by the Sanders campaign, or I don't even know that he's running for anything anymore. But yeah,
But I think it's effective too because there are a lot of people who do follow him and who want to know what he has to say, and young people who follow him, who I think it will be very effective for them to see a conversation, because some of the stuff is not the positive stuff. It's really hard-hitting questions about,
absolutely.
is this a good idea? And no one else is having those conversations. So to have this old guy and an AI talking to each other who has a following that is multi-generational, I think it's really effective.
Yeah, I agree 100%. All right. I'm pushing us to our last story because we want to have time for show and tell today. This is a story from Ars Technica, although it's not only from there. It's certainly made its way around, but Sora is gone. The Sora video generator, the app that we all got on our phone, I don't know about we all, that I got on my phone, where we could make stupid AI videos, genuinely stupid. I mean, this was, I think I used it when it first came out, and then I just said, this is absurd. You know who was all over it at first was iJustine. She was, and then in every video she had what was it, a monkey or something? She had some strange animal with her in every single video.
Yeah, she wrestled a gorilla,
Yeah. It's gone. They shut it down. And the rumor that I heard is that this isn't just the Sora app, but it may be video in general from OpenAI. Or maybe this is the beginning of that, in part because video is just super expensive and they really want to put their money where their data centers are, so to speak.
And to
Well,
put it
things
in
come, they
perspective,
go.
it is a very big deal money-wise because they lost $1 billion deal with Disney. So there's got to be a reason that they did this, that it was worth losing a major deal with major.
They lost it?
Yeah, so no money is
Disney
exchanged hands at this point. The deal that Disney had with Sora was $1 billion deal that they had already made. So the fact that they closed down this
they've lost
section, knowing that Disney would then pull out of that deal, means that it must be way more expensive than we even know, right? It must be, or they have other things that they're like, this is worth $1 billion. This is worth a deal with a major corporation like Disney.
Wow. Yeah.
This reminds me of Yelp. Yelp used to let clients sign up to have a video on their page. And the video would be made by somebody locally, and they'd make the video, and it would explain their restaurant or their business or their typing center. And then they would play this and charge money for it. But Yelp stopped doing it because it costs more to host this stuff than it did to collect money from the clients. And so they did it for a while, and then they said, we're not doing that anymore. So Sora might actually be so heavy on hardware and so bad in terms of, say, storage, that they can't afford to keep up with the demand. Sora has a time limit on how long the clip can be, depending on how much you pay. They'd have to charge so much more for those extra 10 minutes. And if somebody wanted to do a whole movie on there, they could take up the whole data center for a day. I mean, it would be that deep, that every extra minute is a multiplier, not a linear progression. So this looked to me like too many people were enjoying themselves on Sora and making a lot of material, and they weren't throwing anything away. And then they realized we'd have to purge this thing on a regular basis to get space for the next people.
And things come and they go, and I'm sure there'll be some other video folks who are taking that place quickly.
Oh, Google's VO is fantastic. But were people actually using Sora? We don't really know the numbers, but that's another piece of this puzzle that could. It's also possible that just no one was using it.
I think a lot of people
were using it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were using it, but they weren't using it in meaningful ways. So exactly what Dave says, they're storing a bunch of crap on their servers in order to, and because again, Disney's deal with them was going to be a meaningful use of it. That was their plan. Yeah. So if the storage or whatever it was to create Sora and to keep it and maintain it was clearly more than $1 billion.
Yeah.
Doesn't every barn have a slop bucket?
Right. Let me throw it to Tony in 1 second. I just want to bring in this comment from Vic. He's saying that executives stated that the company cannot do everything at once. It's refocusing on high-value areas like Claude Code competitors and robotics ahead of a potential IPO, which makes a lot of sense. Tony, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I played with it, but I did not do anything serious with it. It was just really consumption and playing around and just seeing what I could create. And then part of my early experience with it was I wanted to do some stuff and I could do the stuff, but then the watermark was there, and I was like, I don't want to go through the trouble of removing the watermark, and this is just for fun, and so I don't mind. I'm just curious though. I read the article, but I didn't see an end date.
That's interesting. That's interesting. I don't know that I saw that either, actually.
You could try to log on to Sora and see if it still exists.
Well,
I'm in it. I'm on it on my phone right now.
Yeah, they
and
can't.
It's definitely still active.
Yeah. They just announced it, so I doubt it's going to go away anytime in the next, couple of days. But
I wonder too if it has to do with now that video, like there's so many AI generated things. Like if you scroll through TikTok, every other one is an AI generated thing. So people are becoming less trusting of what they see. And so if everything becomes just kind of this AI slop, then then people are less invested in your product. They're not going to keep returning to it because they're like, I can't trust it anyways. It's not real.
I found myself even when I need a quick image now, I think many of us just jump into Google Gemini or OpenAI, and I have it generate. And it's so funny to me to the discussions that we can't tell the difference between what's real and what's fake. I can tell in a heartbeat. I mean, I've become so sensitized to. I don't know if I want to call it salt. Like today I needed to. Oh my God, I should show this to you. This is insane. Today I had a teacher come to me and say, "Hey, we'd like to have X, Y, and Z, whatever." It was about Hebrew blessings and saying blessings over what you eat and stuff like that. Forgive the religious stuff, but that's just what it is. So in one quick little thing, I went to Google Gemini. I said, "Hey, could you make me a chart of the 5 major blessings and put some pretty pictures of food?" And this is what it made. Now you can't really see this very well, but it's ridiculously good. It got the Hebrew letters correct. It got the English. I mean, the language on it alone, in 2 different languages. It's just amazing to me. But it is obviously AI. Obviously AI. So, well, Sora, farewell. It was nice having known you. I won't miss you.
Like Tim says, Sora is no more.
Sora is no more. All right, my friends, get out your toys. Let's talk. Let's celebrate. I don't have my happy birthday button here. I need a happy birthday button. Let's celebrate. Apple is turning 50 on April 1st. It will be 50 years. And I just recently rewatched what's the job? Was it just called Jobs?
Macintosh.
Which one did I watch?
1984?
No, it was called Jobs, the movie with
The Jobs, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
The dramatic.
Fantastic movie. I loved it. So I want to start with a big picture question, and then we can show off our toys. Can you identify a way in which Apple changed your life or the world in which you live? Not, your favorite toy, but really on a deeper level. And let me just say, by the way, that my goal here is not to, elevate Apple to some majestic status, but I do want to recognize the ways in which they've changed the world. So, Lois, I saw you shaking your head. Do you want to share something?
Sure. So part of this is that it isn't just Apple, but the start of the internet, when people who were regular people got to participate, and then we suddenly had the World Wide Web and all this stuff. And then the iMac came out. Remember that swoopy little machine there? And it made it so that it was easy, it was simple. We were able to teach our mothers how to do it. And it got us connected to the internet. Now, connected to the internet wouldn't have made any difference 5 years before, and it certainly made a lot of difference 10 years later. But that transition between the internet and Mac together, that was what did it.
I think I would add something else to that, Lois, and that for me, I remember my stepfather built computers, and he had in his office this, I mean, just to me, it was huge, huge computer that he built with wires and knobs and stuff. It was the coolest thing in the world, but it was so industrial. There was nothing pretty about it. I shouldn't say that, because to him it was probably the most beautiful thing in the world, and I honor that. But there was nothing, no smooth edges, nothing comfortable. And another piece that Apple did for me is that it made technology comfortable, not just to use, but to feel, to hold, to look at.
Yeah. So it sort of reminds me of when I was growing up, and there were the guys who worked on their cars, and they would get in there and they would tear things apart, and they were in hog heaven. Well, it wasn't hog heaven. It was, I don't know, spark plug heaven or something. But anyway, they were really into that cars. And then I and my friends went, well, that's really nice, but I want to drive it. And to me, that was the difference between the things before the iMac and from the iMac on. Is one is that it was technological, and if you were, I don't know, mechanical nerd, you really had a good time going in there, buying things off the shelf, swapping things out, changing this, changing that. I said, I want to drive the computer, and I got an iMac, and I did not have to learn anything about how it was put together, what the interchangeable parts were. It was all made by the same company. I think that was one of the biggest things, biggest changes that we'll talk about in a few minutes, is that it was all of one thing. If I had a problem, call the Apple store. That's it. I didn't have to have a guru. I didn't have to learn anything. And they made it work.
And it's funny when you think back about the beginnings of Apple and how they walked into that store. The store, right, ordered computers, 50 or whatever the number was, 500 computers, and they walked in with 500 boards. And they said to the shop owner, well, but now you can sell monitors separately and you can sell your keyboards. And compare that to what you're talking about, what Apple did when Jobs put everything into one unit. Just amazing. Let's keep going around. Dave, do you
I'll tell you, it changed my life in a number of ways. I got in high school, I learned to punch cards. And at the university, I got to be in touch with heavy iron. When I was in trade school, I got to actually work with the PDP-11. So for me, I turned into a geek around that time.
Translate.
PDP-11 was a sort of rack-mounted computer. You actually you can see one behind Leo Laporte every day on MacBreak. It's programmable with cards, but also with switches, and you can program switches in and get it to do program bits. But the programs it can do are simply prearrange things for it to just grind out. What happened when I got into editing, and I was a film editor to start with, and then I got into the digital or tape editing, and we had these computers that controlled the machines that played it back, and then you mixed it all together on the switcher. And these things were so clunky, it took you forever. I would rather go back to film because I can cut film really fast. But with this stuff, this is how we were going to do it, and this is the way television was going. Well, I always hoped that one day somebody would make a computer that actually can do editing, and Macintosh, for me, was the first to do it right. And I had a Mac 2, with the first one with video in and video out, and you could, with a big hard drive, do a few things and turn out a QuickTime. Well, that started the whole revolution for me. And today I work with a very powerful laptop that does 4K editing like a dream and much faster than I could ever do with film. So that's the change it's had for me. It's changed every relationship I have with every person I know who had a PC and then had to change PCs every couple of years.
Enemies with all of them? I don't understand.
Well, no, it was like they kept spending on their computers, telling me how expensive it was. And they were spending thousands of dollars each time to buy $1,000 computer and put cards in it and try and make it all work, and new hard drives to go with that new operating system. And here I was, my first Mac worked for 9 years. And then I got another one and it went for 9 years. And then I have another one, 6 years. But this is the thing. We had a high quality thing, really well built, not necessarily beautiful, but really well built so that you could keep working on this thing. And I'm with Lois. I showed my mother how one of these works. Just, turn it on, what the apps are for, all that. And then that's it. I didn't have to coach her. She just, well, I would ask her, how is it going? She'd say, well, I tried this the other day. This is a new thing, isn't it? And I went, hey, you discovered that yourself. So it was all part of the integration of ideas that just take the problem away. And the problem with phones back in the day was that you didn't get to decide what apps were on it or what it would do or how well it would connect. But when he put that thing up and said, it's a phone, it's a web device, and it's a music player,
Yeah.
I realized, and it can be 20 other things. You just have to put those things in there the way you want them. And it was a revelation for me at the time.
I mean,
it wasn't so much that he had made a phone, it was that he took everything that you want to do and put it in a single device.
If we think about all the things that we used to have that we now don't need to have anymore, we don't need to have a calculator, we don't need to have an alarm clock, we don't need to have a wallet.
Not need my iPod anymore.
Right,
yes.
right. This is a beautiful from Vic. It says, I bought my first Mac when I joined the office hours backend. It provides me this is the key. It provides me the confidence to do work others can depend on. That's such a beautiful way of summing up what Apple products have done. They give us that confidence. I love that.
The whimsical nature of the interface is wonderful, right? It's cartoony, it's fun. It responds to you audibly and it responds to you tactilely and it makes you smile.
And it gave us the Wild Eep.
The Wild
Eep? The Wild Eep, EEP. It was one of the my favorite sounds that came with the Mac.
I think we should do, Tamara, is we should just, if you could recreate that sound for us, please.
I don't know that I can recreate
No, yes, you can, because I'm not taking you off camera until you make the sound.
Dave can do it. He's doing it.
All right,
he
go
is
ahead,
a
Dave.
Wild Eep. It's exactly it. It's so good.
Yeah. Now, of course, what was fun is on my Mac 2, I took the sound from 2001 that says, I'm sorry, Dave, I can't do that. And I put it in as my error sound. And every time I made a mistake, it would say, I'm sorry, Dave, I can't do that. Oh, right. I'm not saving on the right file. Okay.
I worked in an office once where we just assigned random sounds to different keys. And so we would just be like having sound wars throughout the day where people would just be shooting sounds at each other.
So let me throw it to Tony, and then I'll come back to you, Tamara. Tony, how has Apple, has it, I shouldn't assume, has it changed your life?
Absolutely, it has changed my life. I'm sitting here and I'm looking into my what is it called?
Your iPhone.
Teleprompter with a camera.
I'm looking at my iPhone that I'm using primarily as a camera, and it's behind my teleprompter. It's an older iPhone, 13. I think I look pretty good. And before I used the 13, I used the 11, and I'm using the Blackmagic camera app, and I can adjust it. I can big, small, change lenses, do all kinds of things. And it's just absolutely amazing. But I'm probably a Windows convert that has become the biggest Apple fan, in that I used to be a person who went around and fixed Windows computers and put in RAM and updated hard drives and whatever you needed. And that was one of the many jobs that I had after I got married, that I wanted to, help and build up my income. And so in the early days, I would push people away from Apple altogether, and just really, you don't want that. That's not good. And now, the biggest fanboy in town. And I'm sitting here. There are 4 computers and 2 iPads, and 2.
What's on your wrist there?
2. Well, this is the biggest the device for me. I have everything Apple, but this, as I shared in one of our earlier shows this year, I took a trip. I used a walker. The walker collapsed as I was going outside into my garage. It collapsed. I fell down on top of the walker, hit my face, blood everywhere, lost consciousness for a minute or two. The Apple Watch called 911. And after that, everybody that I know that's have, health issues, I'm encouraging them to get an Apple Watch, because you'll have your Apple Watch on when you won't have your iPhone or your phone, period.
Yep.
And so, but I don't know if you should have came to me now, Rabbi, because I got the original Fire, the Lightning Pro 2 here. I have the regular AirPods. I have an
Everyone hold up their AirPods.
iPod.
I do not have AirPods.
I don't have AirPods either. I don't have
This
AirPods
is
either.
an iPod. This is an iPod. The iPod.
The Nano.
Oh, that's
Yes.
that's the
Nano.
baby. Yeah.
I have a blue
the
Nano,
Nano.
yes.
Yep. So this is the Nano. And I have a working iPhone 4S is the product that I wanted to show you guys. It works. It comes on. It's a great alarm clock. It's a great flashlight. Can't upgrade the software anymore, but it's very cool. And
It's a pocket full of tools, isn't it? I mean, it's like you got tools in your pocket. A flashlight.
yeah, it's still a calculator,
alarm
and
clock,
it works.
Calculator.
And I just
we
want
used to have a pen.
I can't show
pen
it to you
protected.
guys, but I want to show you a picture of it. And I promise that at some future show, I will come on with my iPhone 4S that still works, and we'll show it to you. There was something else. Oh, I have the computer that I joined office hours on is a 2012 MacBook Pro. And that computer died year 2020. And I had it since 2012. 8 years. Fantastic. Loved it. Cried when it broke. I was actually able, I bought my son a 2012 as well. He took it to college and then brought it back. And then I started using it with office hours in my laptop. And so I had two 2012s that I was using at the beginning of office hours. And so his 2012, I plugged in today just to see if it would come on. It has come on, and it's asking me, do I want to update the the software? And what's so funny is it's plugged in right now, but it's too far away for me to reach it and bring it in. But it comes on, and I've decided that I'm going to tweak it and see if I can just use it as a DVD player and nothing else. And I think that's the way to go. It connected to my Wi-Fi. And so again, the last thing, Apple Watch, anybody who is in the Apple infrastructure, I encourage you to get an Apple Watch. Doesn't have to be the latest and the greatest. I didn't get the first generation. I got the second generation, third generation, fourth generation, fifth grade, sixth generation, seventh generation, eighth generation, and then I got the Ultra, and I haven't gotten any more, so I don't have the 9 or 10 or the 11. But this Ultra 2 is fine.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
Before I come to you, Tamara, to continue show and tell, I just want to throw a question out, and maybe you can use this as a launching point for your for whatever you want to share. And my question is, Which do you think was the more important shift, Macintosh or iPhone?
I think the modern shift is iPhone. I think that that's the modern shift. But I think that right now I'm listening to the David Pogue book that just came out, and the Audible version is also really quite wonderful. So if you are, not wanting to spend money on the book, although you should, the Audible is really amazing. I think it's a little of both, because when you look at kind of the history of Apple, you can what you see is success, because, and that's what we're talking about, are successes, but you also see how failure has built success. And that for all of the things that we've seen and all the things that are successful, I think that there are things that have been unsuccessful along the way, that have been, real misses for them. This is not a company that came out of the box as 100% successful and just stayed that way forever. That has not been the history of Apple. So I think that, but I do think the modern thing, I think, would have to be the iPhone. It really put a computer in everybody's pocket.
Yeah. Dave, what
It
do you
actually
think?
brought me back to the.
Where's
It
your
brought you
show and
back?
tell now?
It brought me
Tamara,
back
what
I
have
will
you
tell you
got?
my
What have
show
you
and
got?
tell.
Oh, is it show and tell time? Okay. All right, Tamara, what you got?
Oh, you weren't prepared for us. Okay.
No,
No.
I was prepared for it, but we switched questions.
No,
so
no,
that
no. All
I
right,
was
bring it.
like,
Tamara, go. What you got?
let,
Can use
let me
some
tell
cool
you
stuff.
let me tell you my intro to Apple. My intro to Apple and what Apple means to me is not the only computer I've ever used. I had Apple, and then I went through all of the PCs and came back to Apple through the iPhone, oddly. But my first Apple was this guy, which is the MacBook 145, which is kind of in the 1992. I got it as a gift
Was that a
from
scroll wheel on there?
it is, and I
Yeah.
still love it.
Yeah.
If I could have that little wheel on everything, I loved that Apple trackball. It was so great. I know everyone likes the trackpad. I liked the trackball. I got it as a gift from two people who were very instrumental in my career. One, I produced my very first show was a director who I met on the backlot of Warner Brothers. He was also a sound mixer, Ken Fuller, and his wife, Bonnie Raskin, who became the person who promoted me and got me into NBC in development and promoted me to be her director of development over at Fox. So when I went in between the two of those things, I decided to finish up my bachelor's degree. I had graduated high school in like this a semester early. In January of my senior year, I was going out on tour and doing theater, and then I'd take a class at the junior college because that's what I could afford. And when I finally decided I'm going to go and finish my degree, they said, "Hey, we don't know how you're going to feel about this, but we really want you to have this." And they gave me this laptop, and I took it to school with me, and I went to a very small Lutheran college in New York, away from my family here in California. And a couple of things happened. One, I was one of the only people to have my own computer. And that was something that my family had a Commodore 64 that you plugged into the TV and saved on a cassette tape, that we didn't have a printer, so it didn't do anything. We could make lists on TV, and that's all we could do. So I took it with me. I couldn't print on it because back in the day, if you recall, you had to have a printer that matched yours, and this was a PC campus. So I'd have to run around with my little disc to find the one guy on campus who was a pre-sem major named Kent, who would help me print out my papers. And I did that for the first semester. And for Christmas, I got my printer, my Mac printer, and I got a 14.4 modem. And the piece that I think is so important to me is that computer, one, it was mine, and I got to do whatever I wanted to do with it, and it served me well. But one of the things that it did once I got that modem was it allowed me to have emails back and forth with my dad. My dad is like, he was a mechanic. He was not, he loved fixing things. He was probably the guy who got me into technology without knowing. I wanted to be a mechanic when I was, a kid, because he was a mechanic, and he loved fixing things, and he was probably my tech guy. He died 22 years ago and was slightly younger than I am now. So it was really, when I look at my intro into Mac, and I'm not going to cry over this, but it really gave me connection and it gave me possibility. And I see that now when, I told you earlier about the Neo, I got that from my mom. It's my mom's first computer, and I love watching her. And I think that that computer is so important because there's people who can't afford it and they're going to have it.
You know, one of the things I remember a few years back, Apple had a commercial around Christmas time for, I think it was for the iPhone, but you never saw the iPhone in the commercial. Instead, what
Yep.
you saw a family going along, getting ready for Christmas, making dinner, decorating the tree, all this stuff. And you saw a young boy off to the side, not engaging with the family.
Right.
And you thought,
Staring at his phone. Yeah.
and at
yeah.
first you thought, oh, this, that poor, he's being ignored. And then the last scene in the movie is he has used his phone, I guess, for recording, and maybe his Mac with iMovie, and he's created a movie of the family getting ready for Christmas. And what that ad did was it reminded us that Apple, this probably will sound a little naive, but Apple isn't selling products, or at least in its marketing, it's not marketing products, it's marketing experiences. It's marketing what you just expressed, Tamara. That's what it sells. That's what it's good at. The tools that it makes that we use are simply that. They're just tools to help us create those moments and those experiences, because that's what hooks us. That's what we'll spend. We will spend any amount of money to have more family time, to have more connection, to have all
A deeper relationship.
right,
yeah.
right.
Well, and the genius of Jobs really was in creating something that looks good on the inside and out, is really creating something that is so attractive that you don't have to feel like you need to be techie in order to enter into that world. And it allows anybody to come and play. And I think that, out of the box, you can open up a Mac and you do not need to be a technical person, and you can be technical. And that's really important, I think, because, I wasn't a technical person. And then I ended up in all of these things where I was ancillary, the go-to the techiest layperson in any room. But that was because I had this computer where I would be sitting up at night, and it was mine, and it was something that I could experiment with, and I didn't know what it did and didn't do. It had I ended up putting an external SCSI drive on it to just add more to it. I broke it in ways that I used it in ways that probably was never meant to be used, and that caused curiosity and connection. But there's no way I would have even had that, with any other computer, because it just felt like, they're beautiful. And I think that that's the thing, is it allows regular people entry into a technical space.
Tim McCullough in the chat talked about how the basic idea of the GUI that Apple used was developed by Xerox's Palo Alto Research Center. He says that they let Woz walk out with copies of the floppies because Xerox didn't see any value in a GUI, in a user interface. And so half of the brilliance here is recognizing what's important. Paying attention to every screw and the corners. I loved the commercial for the most recent one. Was it for the computer? I think it must have been. But the most recent ad that they put out for the computer, where you've got a finger that's molding the corners. I thought it was so beautifully done, and it brought me back to those little things that just matter so much. Dave, you have some toys also.
I do. I just wanted to say that I'm going to put an asterisk on this and just put it right here in the corner. That commercial you talked about with the Christmas people was shot here in my city.
Nice.
We have great winter here.
Very
so that's why it
nice.
looks so good. Yeah. I have two more toys. One is a surprise, but this toy came to me through the people I worked with made me buy this. I used their money, but made me buy this. It's a quick take camera, and was made by Kodak, who then decided digital was never going anywhere. And it took 640 by 480 pictures in color, and it was useful. It was very useful. Stored about 25 shots, which is like a roll of film. At the time, not very good, right? Film was so much better and everything else. But it started computational photography. And that is a contribution Apple made, which they found a company that was doing it, adopted them, and made it an essential part of their phones. Now, the big reveal. Anybody got a drum roll button? Because I've got something to show you.
I don't have a drum
My
roll
latest
button, I'm
toy
sorry.
is this.
Oh, you big
This
show
is
off.
indescribable. The experience, you just talked about experience. This is just total experience, nothing else. It does everything a computer can do. It does everything I need to do. I'm going to be running the question management in the morning using this because I've tested it and all the stuff that I need and everything. I've got this big 180 screen now that I can just have all the stuff on that I need. But the experience of this, having a dinosaur come over and sniff you, is an amazing experience. And hundreds of other videos and experiences that people are posting. One is skiing down the hill in Revelstoke, which is near where I live. And somebody had one of those sticks with a 360. And as you're skiing, you can look around and go, this is a gorgeous place. Well, it's experience-based, totally. And it's so good. This thing is so fast. It is so, I'm sorry, I'm not a salesman, but I have no words to describe what this is doing to me. And I will be telling you about it probably in 6 months because it's going to change who I am. And spatial computing is coming.
Right.
It's not fast. But then, how long did it take for the 1984 computer to become very popular? Well, I'm just showing this off because I just got it.
That's what I was just going to say. You just got it. You must have just gotten it because you're giddy. I mean, you're like a kid in a candy store. And that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
I was counting the sleeps before my lens things got here to put in here. They give you lenses just on your prescription so you can see. And if you ever get a chance to go in an Apple store and demo one of these, you will see what I'm talking about. But you can't describe it. Yeah.
What is it?
You will not understand what they're all about.
I would buy a Vision Pro.
It's so funny because to me, that's one of the flops.
But see,
well, this is interesting because I go back to my Mac 2, fully outfitted for video. You want to guess how much it costs?
$2,500.
$6,500.
Yeah,
what did this cost me? 6,300 Canadian. Right. We're talking, but it's fully outfitted. It's got a terabyte in it, and it's crystal clear. It's a better screen than what I'm looking at right now.
But if you look at the history of Apple, that is exactly who Apple is. If you look at everything that you consider to be a success, either it was in the works for 10 or 11 years, or it was something that the things that were flops were the stepping stone to the thing that was next. So I think that that's the key to the Vision Pro. We're looking and we're like, flop. That's the precipice of whatever the next thing is.
I agree.
Who was buying 128 Max, right? Schools were buying 128 Max, but no people,
One of the pieces that we haven't talked about yet that I think is also one of Apple's greatest creations is not all of these individual items, but the glue that keeps them all together, the ecosystem that they've created.
The greatest device they ever made, right here.
The 30-pin connector? Are you serious?
No, this is a MagSafe connector.
Oh, MagSafe. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This is the best thing they ever made because it saves you from killing your Mac.
Right.
Well, and it's true because the M1 Mac Pro does not have it.
Right.
And it's sadly missed.
That's funny. I have an M4 MacBook Pro and I never use that. I just plug it in USB-C.
The USB does as well, yeah. But that USB will wear out.
Well,
this thing will run forever.
Yeah. So let's talk about that ecosystem. So you said, Tamara, that you got into it from the iPhone. Hold on one second. Lois, how did you started on the computer side? So
right.
Does that ecosystem, is that important to you?
Yeah. So again, I come back to the car. I just want to drive it. I just want it to work. If something goes wrong, I want to be able to call up and go help, and somebody will fix it or show me how to do it or whatever. So I do not have to worry about warranties and all this other stuff. When I have an Apple product, I have a phone number and I can call and I can get support. And they aren't asking me what store did you buy at or how old is it? I mean, it might be too old to not be supported anymore. That's possible. I keep things a long time. But the fact that these people are always there and they're always there for me, and they never begrudge the fact that I'm having a problem or I didn't see that button over there. Oh, is that what that does? It's like they will never tell you you're dumb.
They're so much more patient than I am.
And that is the essence to me of being part of the Apple family.
That's so important. That is so important, and that is the support layer is such a fundamental part of this whole ecosystem. You're absolutely right about that. I'm really glad that you brought that up.
I think the connection of the ecosystem is really important. So the Mac that I showed you was like 1991, 1992. After that Mac, I did not have a Mac until 2017. And what got me into the 2017 was my first iPhone, which was the same as Tony's, the iPhone 4. And then I ended up with an iPad in the second iPad 2 in 2011. And once that happened, then it became you have to switch over. I think I ended up with the iPad. I think I ended up with the iPad first and then switched to the phone, because carrying is sharing, and buying the exact same app 2 times to Android and thing was literally the thing that did it. And I have now 4 iPads and 1, 2, 3 Mac minis and 3 laptops. So now it's all and an Apple Watch. So now I have they're appliances now.
You're all in.
I'm all in.
It's funny. The iPad is other than a headset that looks ridiculous and I have no use for. The iPad is the one piece of this that I never really got into.
I got it when I was student teaching, and it was life changing because I could walk around the room and control my.
Right. I'm sure I have one, and I use it honestly. I use it. It sits on my desk. It never moves. I use it for drawing on screen and things like that. Dave was holding up before the show an iPad Mini. I would have loved. I never had one. That to me is the right size.
It's like a Kindle. It's a Kindle size thing.
Right. And when
it's
Apple
a Kindle
comes
without the lag.
Right. And when iPhone comes out with their new folding phone later this year, which everyone's rumoring, it's going to open up to be exactly the size of an iPad Mini.
The Mini is so great. It is like one of my favorite.
Tony,
devices.
what's up?
Yeah, I didn't share this part. I talk about all the different jobs I had. So before I actually got my own first Mac, one of the jobs that I had was I worked in the media center at the school I was working at, and I worked there 2 years. And all I did was run the computers, and all the computers were Macs, and so they were the early Macs, the bright white Macs. That's what they all were, and the students were able to. It was interesting that the media center had only Macs in it, but everywhere else in the school there were Windows computers in the classrooms. So, but in the media center everything was Mac. Strangest thing you could experience, back and forth in terms of people using them. We actually had, not only in the media center did we have all Macs, we had carts that we could take throughout the school that were all Macs. But in the classrooms, they were all Windows computers. So it was a really kind of strange thing. But I just wanted to speak to say that was part of what got me into the Apple infrastructure. Just seeing how the Macs work, and I was responsible for making sure there wasn't much maintenance that needed to be done, but I was in charge of making sure that they, were working properly and all that. But then I got a chance to, when I started teaching, the classroom that I had, special education classroom, all iPads. And there was this amazing software that worked with the students that I had that nobody else had. And most of my students were nonverbal. And the apps that Apple had for these students and the things that they could do with that iPad, and it was probably first or second generation of the iPad, and it was just absolutely amazing. And after that, I was sold. It was just such a great experience. And so I have an iPad that I keep with me all the time. I have two iPads that I use, but there's one that's with me. If I have my phone, typically have my iPad with me.
You know what? You just reminded me of one of the things that Alex Lindsay, who now works at Apple, said early on. We were having a conversation about technology in schools and what devices are the best. And the discussion was really between Chromebooks and iPads. And his argument was that Chromebooks are amazing and utilitarian. Well, he didn't say amazing, that's me. He said utilitarian, but they don't allow for any creativity. Whereas iPads allow children to be creative and to create. And I've never forgotten that. It really resonated with me. I'm a typing guy. I want a mouse and a keyboard. That's just how I work best. But for creators, for people who want to use their hands and their fingers and maybe kinesthetic learners, the iPad I just think is really an amazing device. Tommy's writing, all the artists and photographers used Macs. All the engineering was PC. Yeah. But
all
nowadays,
all of my iPads have keyboards to them.
yeah.
Even the mini has a little tiny one, and I've written whole scripts on them because I do find taking that to a cafe, it blocks out
Yeah.
everything,
And
it
the
is a
Apple
great
Pencil.
writing.
That's absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
My daughter is in nursing school and she just got an iPad and an Apple Pencil, and it's the best thing she's ever experienced. Yeah.
I do
Yeah,
a
you
lot of
really
script
need a
work
pencil
with it.
with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
do
you
a
gotta
lot
have
of
a
script
pencil.
work. People send me their scripts and I'm able to just, everything is right there. I can shoot it off and send it to them with all the notes in it. It's amazing.
You know what she got
For
though?
Lois's benefit,
The iPad
For Lo-
that my daughter got, was given to her by her older sister, and it's an older one. So I happen to have an extra, I guess, Gen 2 pencil, which I brought home, which was not compatible. So she had to buy one of the first generation Apple pencils, which you have to plug it in. It's got a little lightning
Yep, I
connector
have
on
that.
the end. So you've got your iPad and then this pencil sticking out the bottom of your. It's the most ridiculous. It's like the Magic Mouse. How the
Right.
plug for the Magic Mouse is on the bottom
It's on
of
the
the
bottom.
mouse, so you cannot use some of these decisions. I don't know what they were
Yeah.
thinking. I'm sorry, Dave. Go ahead.
no, I was thinking for Lois's benefit, the iPad with a pencil allows you to play some of those silly games that have tiny, tiny little icons and things on them that you cannot do with your finger. You just tap away at this tiny little thing. You can't get it. I wanted to signal that the icon for save still is one of these.
Yeah.
Oh my!
And
Wow.
lots of people don't know what it is. And it was mandated if you had a Mac, you had to use these. You couldn't get the big 5-inch or 8-inch floppies because they weren't going to go for it. They also did that with DVDs. It also is a HyperCard card.
Ha.
That's another one of the great things that Apple invented and that somebody at Apple was given permission to create. And it taught lots of people how databases work.
Yep.
And they just didn't need to learn how databases work. They learned how to put together a database by, as we do now, talking to the computer. And so this is like one of the things that is a legacy from that time, that they had stuff that was easy to learn and you didn't need to know how to program anything. Yeah.
Right. Going
I
back
feel
to
like the
Lois's
thing-
point.
the-
Yeah. Let me
the
just get
thing that
Lois
we
in real
don't
quick,
think
Tam.
about-
Hold on one
oh, go
second.
ahead.
Go ahead, Tam. Lois.
So back in the 90s and the early 2000s, there was a large divide between the users and people. Most of the people, I don't think, really cared. They just want to have a computer. But the the business folks all were convinced they had to use IBM or Windows. And the creative folks, the folks doing art and doing photos and all that stuff, they wanted to have the images and the moving and all the stuff. So they went to Mac. And so that distinction between Mac is for creative and Windows is for business, that lasted a lot longer than it needed to. But I think eventually people changed, and some of those contracts finally ran out. And so now you could do both things on either computer. But I got to tell you, I have never found a Windows machine that allowed me my creativity and my art and my photography as well as the Mac did. So I just never, I don't do Windows.
Yeah. Dave, what the heck? What are you doing?
I just thought we should close the show on a good note. You know, this is what I'm going to look like next week when I get this working with you guys, and it's got Zoom on it. So I don't know how I'll come across.
That's going to be
Zoom,
fantastic.
That's
I am looking forward to that. Speaking of next week, I will not be here. It's Passover, so I'm not able to be here. We're gonna try handing this off to Tamra. I sent her the files, and we'll see what happens. Which means, panel, that we need a topic for next week. So please be thinking. I'm happy to do the work before next Thursday, but I can't be there on Thursday. So I do hope that all of you will be here next Thursday, unless you're celebrating yourselves. I do hope that you all will be here next Thursday. And if you are celebrating Passover, happy Passover. And if you're celebrating Easter next Sunday, a very, very happy and peaceful Easter to all of you. We are here every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern. We didn't get to some of the things about Apple that, there's always things to criticize, but today is really about celebrating. Today's about celebrating Apple's 50 years. And I would just tag on to the end that, the rainbow logo, the iMac, the iPhone keynote, the infamous garage with Steve Jobs, those were all nostalgic and wonderful. But I think the stronger conversation is how Apple changed computing by humanizing it and changed technology by integrating it into our daily lives, into everything that we do. And so I'm grateful that Steve and Woz and everybody at Apple continues to do the work that they do, and grateful that all of you continue to listen to us talk about the work that they do. If you ever want to join us, feel free to reach out on Discord. We'd love to see you there. Join us tomorrow morning for another episode of Office Hours. And tomorrow afternoon, please join us in the Zoom Test Kitchen. Andy Carluccio is going to be joining us, showing off Zoom ISO 3.0. I've gotten to see it. It's gorgeous. And we'll also be able to talk about Zoom 7.0, which is just released earlier this week. Let us know, by the way, we are doing this episode with Zoom enhanced media turned on in Zoom. So I hope it looked pretty good. It should have looked pretty good. In any case, thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next time on the